Welcome to the Chronicles of Rome, Episode 22, Marius's Wars, Blades of Fate. Picture Rome perched on the brink of a tempest with its vexilla stretching taut above fresh conquests and blood-drenched fields sprawling beneath a restless sky. It's 121 BCE, and the Republic redirects its dominion outward after being scarred by Gracchan upheaval. In southern Gaul, the Allobroges and Arverni challenge Roman steel as fierce allies, but their defeat carves a path to Spain. Beyond the Alps, a graver threat gathers pace as Germanic tribes sweep south with martial zeal, while Cimbri and Teutones shake Rome's borders with their march. In Numidia, Jugurtha defies a faltering senate with shrewd cunning and uses gold to prolong resistance until legions close in. From these crucibles rises Gaius Marius, who stands as a model of relentless soldiery and etches an enduring tale with his victories, while Lucius Cornelius Sulla stokes enmity amid the glory as his deputy turned rival. This is no mere clash of arms, but a study of a republic tempered in fire with its fate, balanced on tactics and ambition. This is episode 22, spanning 121 to 100 BCE. We'll stride into Gallia Narbonensis, where Rome secures a province beneath a Gallic sun after victories at Vindalium and Isère River. Then we'll endure the Cimbrian War as defeats at Norea and Aruzio threaten Italy, until Marius triumphs at Aquae Sextiae and Vercellae. Next, we'll delve into Numidia, where the Jugurthine War ends with Sulla's guile and sparks a rift that foreshadows the next chapter. These struggles birth a reshaped Rome, with its legions transformed by Marius's unprecedented consulships and reforms. The tale begins in 121 BCE when southern Gaul glows under summer light and its hills bloom with vineyards, while breezes carry the sharp scent of pine and the faint bleats of goats. Allobroges muster 15,000 warriors who wear golden torques and crimson cloaks that billow as they sling long swords from belts and blow horns that wail through misty valleys. Proconsul Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus takes the field at 50 with 20,000 legionaries whose armor gleams as they grip gladii and pila with red plumes swaying in the wind. 30 quinqueremes sail from Ostia and carry 50 tons of Sicilian grain, along with 100 amphorae of oil before docking at Massilia, after a 100-mile voyage where sea spray chills their faces. Domitius marches north as maniples thread through oak groves and boots grind gravel. At Vindalium, battle ignites when Allobroges charge across the western bank with spears arcing and shouts thundering, while Domitius arrays hastati in testudo formation, so shields deflect blows and pila volley back to fell 3,000 in the first clash, per Livy's tally. Princeps push forward in a wedge and gladii slash through the enemy, until 2,000 more fall, which leaves the riverbanks strewn with broken spears and twitching limbs for a total of 5,000 lost. Domitius triumphs as cries fade to groans. Soon after, the Allobroges regroup with Arverni and Saluvii to form a coalition of 20,000 strong and confront Domitius alongside Consul Quintus Fabius Maximus Allobrogicus, who stands at 45. Fabius builds a wooden bridge over the Rhone in 3 days with 500 men hammering stakes as dust swirls with unripe grape tang and joins Domitius's 15,000. The coalition charges, but hastati lock shields and pila drop 4,000 before Fabius flanks with Principes via a ford, where gladii cleave through the ranks. Arverni chief Bituitus rallies a hill fort, yet Domitius breaches it with ballistae that topple walls, and 6,000 more die for a total of 10,000 perished. By autumn, Bituitus kneels in chains at 40 with his beard braided as silence weighs heavy. Rome claims Gallia Narbonensis, and its Via Domitia stretches west to Spain beneath a crow-streaked sky, while land division begins on conquered soil. By 113 BCE, a shadow looms beyond the Alps, where Cimbri swell past 100,000 and are driven from Jutland's flooded plains by hunger and deluge, with men in hides and women wielding clubs, while children clutch sharpened sticks and ox-drawn wagons creak over frost-cracked ground. Stolen iron glints in their axes as blonde braids swing with chants, and smoke from 1,000 fires bitters the air. Rome staggers when consuls bicker in the Senate, with pride sharpening their words. Consul Gnaeus Papirius Carbo ambushes them at Norea at 50 with a hawk-nosed glare, and leads 30,000 legionaries who entrench a snowy hill with trenches dug and pila ready as breath clouds in the cold. 40,000 Cimbri descend, so Carbo forms 3 lines with Hastati in front and Principes mid, while Triarii hold the rear and Caltrops scatter to slow them. Cimbri ford a stream, but Axes smash trenches and Hastati falter under a surprise counterattack before Principes bolster the line, yet shields shatter and 10,000 Romans fall in close combat per Plutarch's estimate, though exact losses blur. Carbo orders retreat as Triarii shield the rout, and snow runs red with armor torn amid screams and snapping bones. Carbo flees with his cloak snagging thorns and shame, colder than frost. In 112 BCE, Numidia flares when Jugurtha rules sun-scorched plains at 40, with dark eyes gleaming with cunning, and slaughters Roman merchants at Cirta to spark war, while gold-bribed senators and spearmen raid allies. The Senate sends Lucius Calpurnius Bestia with 10,000 legionaries to Cirta at 50, where he's plump and hesitant as corruption mires him. Trenches encircle the city and catapults set up, but Jugurtha's cavalry sorties, while Bestia's Hastati waver in muddy ditches and Principes stall, so the siege drags with myrrh and deceit tainting the air. Jugurtha parleys in shimmering silk robes and offers a silver chest to smooth his words, which forces Rome to recoil with honor stained as plebs shout, "Gold rules the Senate." By 110 BCE, Quintus Caecilius Metellus takes command at 40 with stern resolve like rock and leads 20,000 legionaries across dunes, where boots sink in baked sand and dust dries with goat bleats. In 108 BCE, Metellus attacks at Isère River by burning fields to starve Numidians and fording upstream with 10,000 legionaries, while Principes form a wedge against Jugurtha's 15,000 who hold a ridge. Metellus's catapults pound as Pila-pierced shields and Hastati flank via dry gully until Numidian cavalry scatter, and 5,000 fall per salust with blood-soaking scrub, while shouts mix with flybuzz. Jugurtha escapes as horsemen dart like shadows, so Metellus earns Numidicus, yet victory remains incomplete. In 105 BCE, Gaius Marius rises from Rome's restless streets at 49 with broad shoulders and a growl owned in Arpinum's fields, while landless proletarii craving soil acclaim him despite Senate resistance until plebs crown him consul in 107 BCE after he ends the Jugurthine War. He lands in Numidia with 20,000 legionaries whose shields glow red, and each is lured by plunder's promise as sea spray thickens with ambition. Marius hunts Jugurtha with ambushes and deploys detachments in tight wedges that slice dunes, while scorpions loose bolts and steel clashes with breaking shields. Lucius Cornelius Sulla steps in at 33 with keen eyes as deputy and negotiates with King Bacchus of Mauritania, who stands at 40, by feigning talks to lure Jugurtha to a trap near Cirta, where torches and whispers tauten the air. Sulla seizes him in a tent with silk torn and eyes flashing defiance as betrayal's stench grows heavy. Rome prevails and Numidia bows, but Marius and Sulla part chilled with rivalry flaring over Jugurtha's capture. Per Plutarch, who notes, ambition sowed discord as a seed for future civil strife. In 105 BCE, Rome reels from Aruzio, where Quintus Servilius Capio and Gnaeus Mallius Maximus split 40,000 legionaries along the Rhone at 45 and 50, with rivalry proving fatal. Capio's 20,000 hold the west bank, while Mallius's 20,000 guard the east, but Capio rejects coordination and exposes a gap. 30,000 Teutones exploit it by fording midstream, as Mallius's Hastati clash first, yet Scipio delays, so Teutones swing west to encircle, while Principes crumble and longswords hack with Pila snapping until Triarii are overwhelmed and the riverbank becomes a slaughterhouse. 80,000 Romans perish per levy, though numbers may inflate as bodies clog the current and blood's tang blends with horn whales. Italy quakes with the Forum, hushed, while mothers clasp sons under a leaden sky. Marius takes consulship in 104 BCE to face the Cimbri with his camp, a fortress of order, and claims a triumph in Rome, where laurels shine under Forum's sun. By 102 BCE, Marius lures Teutones and Ambrones near Aquae Sextiae at modern Aix-en-Provence, with 35,000 strong behind a rampart. 37,000 legionaries perch on hills where sulfur springs steam with pine as Hastati bait across a gorge, and Teutones chase, while Principes spring from the rampart with Pila raining down and Gladii slashing. Ambrones break first with 10,000 falling per Plutarch, though exaggerated, before Teutones charge again, and 5,000 more die as blood steams on grass and steel roars with despair for a conservative 15,000 total lost. In 101 BCE, Marius joins proconsul Quintus Lutatius Catulus at Raudian Plain near Versailles against 50,000 Cimbri who form a wagon wall. 52,000 legionaries deploy in new cohorts as cavalry prise wagons apart, while hastati pin flanks and Principes surge center, with pila piercing and women hurling stones until 20,000 perish per levy, though numbers vary and fields lie strewn with broken axes as victories shout rises with rot stench. Italy breathes and the Cimbrian War ends. Marius earns the title of savior and holds consulship 5 times from 104 to 100 BCE, with laurels wet with Germanic blood in an unprecedented feat that cements his sway. He reforms the legions during these years by recruiting landless proletarii and standardizing gear and drill, which binds loyalty to generals over state as a shift that ripples into Rome's future. Rome's reach widens, with Gallia Narbonensis a gateway and Numidia tamed while Cimbri lie crushed. Shadows deepen as Marius scorns the Senate with his men pledging to him over Rome, and chants echoing in torchlit camps. Sulla nurses rancor with a gaze sharp as his gladius, while tension crackles between them over Jugurtha's fall as a rivalry poised to fracture the Republic. But remember this: Rome once stood as a city of citizens, with its might forged by men fighting for hearth and state, while loyalty wove through soil and oath. Each blade served the Republic, and every triumph belonged to it. Now wars raise victors above all, with their names drowning Rome's and their grip bending its steel. From these blades rises a new Rome that bends not to shared duty, but to men claiming power alone. Its spirit once sang as a free chorus, yet now bows to the few with eyes set on vast, perilous horizons. What it was fades to memory as a union of equals, while what it becomes emerges as a realm of generals and legions carved in blood and ambition, with its fate unbound. This has been the Chronicles of Rome. Join us next time for 107 BCE and beyond, when Gaius Marius's reforms take root by recruiting the landless with land's promise, and shift their loyalty to their general as a tide remaking Rome's soul.